Inflation is a hidden tax. Fiat currency is the means by which governments obtain instant purchasing power without taxation. So this quote comes from the book, the great book, The Creature from Jekyll Island by Edward G. Griffin. I highly recommend you reading this book if you want to learn more about inflation and how the Federal Reserve was created. That's the creature that comes from the Jekyll Island, the Federal Reserve. But anyhow, I'm not here to talk about this book today. I'm here to talk about inflation, just so that we can briefly explore a few ways that we can protect ourselves against inflation. There are different approaches, different ways, there are different alternatives, maybe is the best word. One could be purchasing physical precious metals, but the biggest case against those is that they don't generate income. Actually, their value, their worth depends on the very inflation, how much and how quickly the currency that we are trading for the purchasing of the precious metal becomes worth less over time. So it simply takes more currency to buy the same amount of gold and or silver or whatever other precious materials, just like it takes more currency to buy the same good and services. So that's what inflation is about. But I wanted to talk about inflation because yesterday, as I was proceeding with the book, reading the book, The Monopoly Game, that I mentioned in one of the previous vlogs, it's an interesting book. I don't feel like recommending it yet simply because the 9th edition is dated 1981, so it's not very updated. The numbers are completely inappropriate in today's economy, in today's world, but the concepts are timeless, and that's the reason that inspired the reflection that I'm going to be sharing in today's vlog, where we're going to be talking about the appreciation of real estate and how much it protects us from inflation. When I read a book that is not contemporary, I always use the inflation calculator to have a point of reference and to compare how much money it would take today to buy whatever the author is talking about. So here is an example. This is the website that I use, US Inflation Calculators, totally free. You'll find the link in the description. You put in the date that you are starting from and today's date, and then the amount of money. In this case, you see that in 1913, a dollar equals $31.15 of today's currency. So in 2024, to buy what you used to buy in 1913 with $1, it would take $31, which is a 0.3% cumulative rate of inflation. All right, so you can play with it as much as you want to at the website. Okay, now that you know which tool I'm using to do these confrontation, these calculations, let's move on with reading what the author says in the book. It says that when your money is invested in real estate, you will have more than a hedge against inflation. You will have an investment that will keep you ahead of inflation. And let's start, since this book was first written in 1974, with checking how many dollars of today currency it would take to buy the same goods and services that we would have bought in 1974 with $1. First of all, there are different websites that offer these inflation calculators, and they also have slightly different results. So you might want to check them out and see which one you're more comfortable using. I use this particular one simply because, if I remember well, is the one that allows me to go further back the most, from all the way to 1913, as I showed you, simply because in 1913 is the year that the Federal Reserve got created, and that's where inflation started to go wild. Let's go back to our story though, because if in 1913 this was the situation, and in 1974 this was the situation, a much lower cumulative rate of inflation, things weren't that bad after all. How were houses behaving? Well, as you can read here, in 1974, the median home price was $35,900. And as it's written, despite the economic slowdown, home prices proved surprisingly resilient, jumping to a median of $35,900. And here, kindly, they also put what would that compare to date May 4, 2023, with inflation, around $220,000. The most notable moment of this year came in August when Richard Nixon resigned the presidency and Gerald Ford was sworn in. These are just some other numbers of US and Midwest and those years to give you a better point of reference. Let's go back for a moment to those numbers coming from the inflation calculator. To understand what is the rate of cumulative inflation, the numbers, the calculation is the following. You take the $6.26 of 2024 currency, you subtract the $1 of 1974, and then you multiply the result by 100 to get the percentage. Simple, right? And now let's do the same calculation with the prices of the median home in 1974 and the median home price from 2023. Let's not even take into account 2024, since at the time of this recording of this video, we're only in the first quarter of 2024. So relying on 2024 numbers would be a speculation, and I don't like to speculate too much. Let's take round numbers to keep it simple. Let's consider the home price to be $36,000 in 1974 and today's home price, the average, being $220,000. The difference between the two would be $184,000. So if we multiply that by 100, that becomes 18,400% rate of cumulative inflation that the appreciation of the home would have given you an edge for, would have covered for, would have protected you by. Make sense? Of course, it doesn't make sense to do this kind of calculation. I mean, the appreciation of real estate is not exclusively based on the rate of inflation. There is a bunch other things that affect the appreciation of real estate. I don't know, commercial real estate, for example, appreciates based on the income that it generates. Residential real estate has a bunch of other factors, mainly based on population, the request that there is for housing, but also materials, location, and many others. The point that I'm trying to make here is that through this calculation, we can gain a perspective of how safe, even after we've gone through a big crisis like the one of 2008, 2009, and prices have recovered, that real estate can really protect us from the increase of inflation. Even the income that it generates is protected by inflation, but this will potentially be subject for another vlog entry. As the author says, more often than not, real property appreciation rates exceed the cost of living index increases. And he ends the chapter by writing, there is a lesson to be learned here. Do not be afraid to buy real estate, even at today's record high prices. And today's record high prices he refers to are the prices that we explain in this vlog from 1974. They're not really record highs compared to today's standards. Anyhow, The point is that you should not wait to buy real estate and wait.
This video has been brought to you
by us at
Real Estate Helpful Solutions.
We buy houses, helping people.
To find out more about how we can be of help, text or call us at 727-366-6916 or send us an email at the email address you see in the photo.
I hope I did not convince you to start investing in real estate, or you might become potentially a competitor, although the competition is a concept that doesn't really resonate with me. I believe much more in productive cooperation. But anyhow, I do hope that by sharing this food for thought, I inspired you to explore, expand your knowledge, and to be better with books. So improve your thinking by reading to improve.